For those who are new today, I want to explain the early career researchers. We started this at the last workshop, and we found, if only our head who had been in that business for several years talking, we forget we're actually doing it for the current and the future student. So the early career researchers, as they named themselves, are current doctoral students, postdoc, assistant professors, or those who early in their research careers. And we found very good from them to tell us what they heard the day before and what we left out, and where we are really old-fashioned, where we don't get it, what's going on right now. So it's very useful. We thought every day we start the morning and hearing from the current and the future leaders what they're thinking.
Well, that's a tall task. I'll try to live up to that, Maurice. Thank you very much. Okay, well, the first slide, we simply want to provide some commentary. I'm not sure it's a summary of the entire day. That would be impossible. And we have a beautiful summary on the wall near the door if it's still up. I can't quite see it. So I think that provides a very detailed summary, but we have a couple different kinds of comments to make coming from our group of 13 people. So 13 colleagues to try to come together with comments, a summary that is short, sweet, and to the point is a challenge, as we all know in our task force groups. But these are the people who met to talk about what we all heard yesterday. It's a range of people from different countries. So our comments today are mainly aimed at maintaining or increasing productivity of everyone in the workshop. So in that sense, they are both commendations and recommendations for future tasks in the next few days. We, as an early career research group, feel that there are a couple points to distinguish between rhetoric and reality. Perhaps best served by example rather than further thoughts about that. First of all, regarding collaboration and competition. We see both collaboration and competition as necessary, and perhaps competition as a stronger driver in what's going on in graduate education than collaboration. Now, that may be just a factor of where we are positioned in graduate education and the factors that we see as needing to push against things to get things done, but that is 30% of your group saying that that's an important part of thinking through this. Collaboration may be something that comes along at different stages that is seen as very important and necessary, but maybe we need to be thinking about both of those and not necessarily as antithetical. Second, we had quite a bit of discussion about thinking about conceptualizing both the global north and the global south. This predominant framework for thinking about internationalization, the global north. Now, we heard a couple terms of the global east or west as well thrown in, which of course speaks to multiple academics trying to grapple with a topic such as this that tries to categorize people in terms of development. So our provocation here is perhaps for all of us to be a little bit more reflective and perhaps even more precise about what we mean by these terms, and to recognize that in multiple contexts, these terms will have different meanings. And lastly, 2 slides on the last, I think there was a little bit of sense of all of us wanting the envelope to be pushed even farther than it is right now. But a couple of the questions that come up for us is thinking about our chapters from our different task force groups and coming back together as a group, asking if we really, all of us, we are taking risks in our chapters. Maybe that's just because I'm in the risk group, that's a key theme. But are we taking risks in our own chapters, or are they too safe? Are we really pushing the boundaries of understanding what's going on with policy, internationalization, inequality, diversity, risk-taking? Are we getting to the point of making policy recommendations that will rock the graduate education world? Are we there? I don't know. It's a question really that we hope to pose to all of you. Are we taking, and a good example of this, a concrete example, is talking about academic mobility, brain drain, brain gain, brain circulation. Are we really taking a risk in describing those things? A couple of us felt that perhaps not, right? Maybe we need a new paradigm or new terminology for thinking about those ideas of academic mobility. And that these older terms we're sticking with because they're there and they're solid, they're relatively safe, but maybe we, right, as a group of academic administrators, deans, people interested in swaying policy, need a new vocabulary. So I won't push it too much further, but are we stuck in a current paradigm for thinking about graduate education development? And if we want to influence policy, should we change that? So lastly, the provocations for this last point on pushing the envelope are threefold. So this is my last push, and I'll please let everybody else in the group speak up if they have other things to say, or if I misrepresented anything from the group. But first and foremost, could we be taking more risk? Developing a new paradigm and a new vocabulary, perhaps, for conceptualizing academic mobility, internationalization, inequality, diversity, risk. Have we done that? Should we do that? Could we? A question we have for you: what actions could you, as administrators, take tomorrow to point us in a new direction for graduate education? And that's a brainstorming kind of question. What could you potentially do tomorrow at your home institutions or in your home countries to say, hey, we really need change? That's important to us as people in these spaces of changing graduate education. And finally, probably I really pushed it with this one, but that would be the group speaking, not me. How could you show us conviction, your conviction, about needing to get in touch with policymakers and needing internationalization, equity, diversity, and risk in higher education? How can you really show us that conviction in your chapters, in your speeches, and potentially in the outcomes of this conference? Thank you very much.